This is the continuation of Problem People Part 2.
Who work towards their own demise. And even like alcoholism, instead of drinking and then driving or thinking you could do anything, most of the time it's just youngsters who are ignorant, you know. So if you drink alcohol, just use it as a sedative, time to go to sleep. If you want to party, drink a soda. I mean, at the very worst, you could put a small alcohol in your drink, but if you really want to enjoy the party, be sober. You again use it as a sedative, not as a springboard to actually enjoy yourself. It is far better to drink. If you're going to drink, you're going to eat at the same time. It avoids you from getting too drunk and hungover. But there's lots of solutions that you can use to make as a standard procedure in order for you not to be caught out there in death and ignorance and doing something that you'll wake up regretting. Because some people do silly things and wake up with like the wrong people. You never know. You could have had an extramarital affair. You could have done something sexually that you didn't want to do, or end up with a person you're like you would have never had chosen if you were sober. So you wake up and you're like, oh no, did we have sex? And you're like, oh no, what did I do? Not to mention there's a whole mess of other negatives that comes with that. And next we move on to employment. Very important. In today's day, employment is used as a form of slavery. There has been a great rise in bully employment. These people, they think they own you, and then they'll just boss you around. And many of them had went to collegiate schools, and they're taught as a form of procedure in their education that once you aspired or attained your sheepskin or your diploma, now you are superior to others, so therefore you must communicate in a sort of manner that you are in control and they're your subservience. So their position, they believe that their position automatically makes them superior. And the problem with this too is that they hire yes men to become the superior, which are inferior, ignorant people, and they're the ones that they put ahead, as opposed to the real super genius, intelligent individual that follows the code, and which they'll overlook. Therefore, continuing again the same problems over and over again. So they have this bully-employee relationship between boss or employer and employee, and they would ostracize them and confuse them and use hate and racism and sexism. That's just to mention a few. Creating a rotating doors system, so people aren't really want to work there forever. They're like, damn, I can't wait to I got to get out of this job. So as opposed to saying, man, I don't want to leave this job. This is good people. I'm having a great time. I'm following my dreams or whatever the case. But this works on all systems. Again, the them works on schools, government, everything where it's organized. And the money seems to disappear. So you're spending all this money for an objective that never happens. An example would be like giving you $1 billion to find a cure for cancer, and they can never find a cure for cancer, and when the $1 billion are done, they'll be like, hey, we need another $1 billion. We got to continue this system. And here comes this guy, never went to school, and in 20 minutes they'd be like, yeah, I got the cure to cancer. Does anybody want it? And next thing you know, he's dead, or his paperwork is missing. And this is the reality of this system we're in. It's really sick. I mean, granted, I know there's a lot of people that's always been looking for the free system, the way to get us out, and that's what this basic is. It's the human instruction in its entirety. But again, we need to go step by step. We need to take a spoonful at a time until everything is done. And then once it's done, and it's left in your court. You take the book, you put it in your system. If you got other knowledge, throw it in there. We'll get to all that. It's really beautiful. When you see the end of it, you're going to be like, oh, wow, it's unbelievably beautiful. And it's E equals MC squared, and it has everything, and it's, what's the solution? You point at a dot, there it is. I said, that little dot has everything. I say, oh, yeah. And you'll see. Well, as time goes on, I'm going to try to get through as fast as I can. If I can, I'm going to try to omit little things here and there. I could recite it all in one page. Actually, as a matter of fact, the beginning, when you have the introduction and the chapters, it sort of tells you everything in the end, how it's all going to turn out. But anyway, there are some individuals who employ others to have "I don't need you, I don't need me" attitude. Before we get to that, I just want to also state that these companies are a rotating door service, so they hire and fire people willy-nilly depending on what they want the economy to say. So if they want the economy to say, oh, we're doing good, they'll tell everybody, hire everybody as much as possible. And so they hire all the people. They'll be like, oh, you know what, just fire everybody. The economy's supposed to be doing bad, so we need that to show on records. So, using this negative system of haranguing people and confusing everything makes it easy for companies to sell and buy, to keep the negative system alive, to keep that problem, instead of having one company that's always the same, and you get the basic grade company service. And even McDonald's used to be one way, and then they say, hi, welcome to McDonald's, how may I take your order? And now it's like, you show up in line, and they're like, what the hell you want? They don't even say anything. Then they give you the wrong order, and you'll be like, excuse me, this is the wrong order. This is not what I ordered. And then they'll act like you're the problem. You're the problem. You're showing up there for an objective, and it's basically, I want this and you give me that. But they're not making it that. They're making it, you want something, we're not going to give you that. We're taking your money, and then if you want your money back or whatever, then instead of saying, oh, we made a mistake, it was innocent enough, we apologize, would you like your money back or this back, or is there any way we can compensate? Just try to make it look like you're not so obvious about your blatant disregard for non-customer service. So anyway, they created this rotating door service and keeping people in a state of fear. Many times, management may offer a raise to an individual or promotion, and then when that raise or promotion is due, quickly terminate the employee, not to mention their benefits, for some erroneous reason that everybody's going to take at face value. Even if you have a recording of the conversation, they'll be like, no, well, that's wrong for some other reason, and it's a totally ludicrous reason. You could keep going on to court, but then your life becomes court, and it's nothing more than just arguing, so they throw you back into the system instead of having a righteous judge that'll be like, okay, well, you obviously put this man through hell, and you should pay for that. But it'll all work out, because in the end, it just shows how it's all headed for self-destruction. It's going to implode. The question is when, where, and why. And then that's when we need to actually wake up and stop the hemorrhaging for these thousands of years that we're currently paying for. Then there are some individuals who employ others who have I don't need you attitude, which only causes resentment to the employee. Not only, but the employer may say this and believe this, say something that what they believe in, or may not believe in. So they're just lying to you about the procedures. So they say, this is a procedure, then you do it, and they say, oh, this guy's done wrong. And then terminate you for some reason or other, which is all deceptive. Only for the employee who are now, they hire another employee. They'll hire another employee that's nowhere near as good as you were. And then meanwhile, they were like, when they hire the other person, they'd be like, oh, it was a mistake. It was a grave error. But they couldn't keep you on. But now they had to hire somebody else because the other guy's a yes man who isn't going to do his work because he's not constructed like that. His job is just to get the money and run. While the other person who believed that an honest day's wage is worth an honest day's work. So the employer demands respect, but yet when it comes for you to get respect, they treat you like a bad dog. Instead of both the employer and the employee can communicate with one another in a productive, friendly manner, and if possible, so they're not creating negative tension, which creates more sick days, which creates more animosity, more hatred, and some will be like, oh, well, you don't got to like each other to work with one another. Oh, that's true. You don't have to like one another to work with another, but that causes more mistakes, more problems, more apathy toward your service and your quality. But if you have and train individuals to be communicate with one another and work with one another and like one another and get a form of compatibility, or either that or put the person who is problematic to work on his own regard so he's not destroying other people's productivity, then you will see the truth of it is this guy's a clown. He's not doing his job. He's just there to reap the rewards of the crew that's doing their job. So both the employee and the employer need to agree on what the job duties are, what the hours are. But truthfully, because they'll tell you something, and then the SOPs are different. The standard operating procedures are actually, you're wrong either way or right either way. So they could just say like, oh, the standard operation procedures said this, and he's doing that. You can clearly see, Your Honor, this guy's in violation of breaking the regulations that was set before him. But the truth of the matter is that the one who's condemning you is a total liar. He's picking and choosing, not based on your action, but based on the deliberate duality of the standard operation procedures, which are also in depending on the semantic property of what you're using as your procedures, your SOPs. It could be another name for SOP, and they'll use it in legal systems, in court cases, and so they're using this in order to destroy or keep someone or let people go, depending on what's the objective and what's their objective, and which is to keep people in a subservient state of mind, so they do as they're told, as opposed to just doing the right thing and everyone benefit. So these people are using their status in a position of power in order to wreak havoc on many other people's lives. I mean, how much can I say about this for people just to wake up? How are we going to hire a president that has tough, incoherent sentences and he does everything wrong and then tell you it's something else? Whatever he says is not because of what he says has happened. It's because his illogical or his deliberate disregard for doing a procedure that benefits the people. He would do it in order to create havoc so that people could fight amongst themselves and continue on the system. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of destruction, and no matter which way you cut it, because that is the end conclusion to the path that is being taken. So they're creating this havoc on these people's lives, and they take it home with them, and again, it just keeps on perpetuating. And because of their position and their schooling, and it's in some of the collegiate books. And these people believe in that stuff. First time I read it in a couple of the collegiate books, I was like, you're kidding me. And then some of them would be like, see that? We're better than everyone. I was like, I didn't have time to argue. I was like, you can believe whatever you want, and people can write whatever they want in literature, but you got to have, at some point, you got to have understanding, or have knowledge and understanding and wisdom to differentiate. So they're creating this belief about yourself, so you have an understanding and understand that you are not a slave, that you are not less than, or that you are worthy than, but in whatever position you're in. And putting people in the positions in the hierarchy that can help for overall solution, or to continue in a path that's in perpetual balance. So they treat you disrespectfully, both physically and psychologically. Now, physical abuse is self-explanatory. Any physical abuse is defined by using negatives in order to disturb another person's peace of mind, and is exposed by the exact documentation of the pattern in the negative person that is projecting. Negative people in general can choose to cooperate equally for a common objective. I mean, people in general can choose to cooperate equally for a common objective, and not a you or me, I don't need you track of mind. It is cooperation, again, that gets things done, not force. Negative people want nothing more than to distract you and your objectives, to keep you in a state of agitation as opposed to being calm and relaxed. Saying something is important when the truth of the matter is that nothing more is... Say something is important when the truth of the matter is it is nothing more than rhetoric and an attempt to keep your mind confused. So the important is unimportant, the unimportant is important to keep you in a state of confusion. There are key negative players in many organizations, as in governments, secret societies, organized crime, gangs, and so forth and so on, in these organizations, churches, whatever. No matter where you are in any particular area, know that each organizations follow their own policies and procedures, and using confusing procedures and reverse policies in order to use negative control tactics. Many of these people take open oaths or secret oaths and then live their lives with still being more secretive. Keeping secrets is important to these organizations because what they're doing is not only illegal, but crimes against humanity. Now, these organizations have ways of singling you out in code, as in secret languages, secret handshakes, signs, and symbols. The end result of these organizations is to control and to benefit themselves and keep everyone else out of the loop and out in the cold and out from benefiting, as opposed to all benefiting. There are other really powerful organizations that have a great deal of information and keep track rather methodically, putting their members in key positions and keeping track of others and keep their control, which can still be all right if they follow a good structure. But the problem lies in this systemic abuse that many people are using their positions to align their pockets and further deprive the employees of benefit to attain benefits. So basically, they're coveting everything from you and everything you do, as opposed to evenly sharing it. And then the apathy just makes it worse, as opposed to being like, hey, how you doing, Billy, or whatever the person, Judy, is everything okay at home? Is there everything you need? And it goes on and on. We haven't gotten to that point. Eventually, we will get to that point, and it's really beautiful. So don't think that the human instruction is there to persecute. The human instruction is there to expose. It's to take a peek behind the curtain, and then the human instruction is going to then say, show you the way out.